This gives me goosebumps.
Yes, we are proud of our country.
Yes, it is a day when we celebrated our freedom from the British rule. Many people sacrificed their lives in the freedom struggle.
Can you tell us more about the freedom struggle?
All right. First, you need to know about how the Indian society was changing. The late 19th century is called the Age of Renaissance. There were many social reformers who were working to make the Indian society better.
Can you tell us about some of these reformers?
Through Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar's efforts, widow remarriage got legalized. He also got child marriage and polygamy restricted. He founded dozens of schools, especially for girls. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, the founder of the Brahmo Samaj, is considered as the father of Indian Renaissance. He opposed the caste system, idol worship, and with the effort of Lord Bentinck, he ended the system of sati.
Dad, what is sati?
Sati was an inhuman practice where a widow was forced to self-immolate on her husband's funeral pyre.
Oh, that sounds really inhuman. I'm glad that our social reformers made efforts to the end of the harmful practices.
Yes, they were courageous enough to fight for the right thing. Dayanand Saraswati was another reformer. He founded the Arya Samaj in 1875 to revive Hinduism or Vedic principles. He also opposed the caste system and idol worship. And then there was Swami Vivekananda, a pupil of Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa. He founded the Ramakrishna Mission by the name of his guru and traveled all over the world, teaching people to seek knowledge and give up superstitions.
It sounds like they all wanted to make society better for everyone.
Yes, their efforts not only reformed the society for good, but also created a feeling of nationalism among the Indians. People began to hold meetings in different parts of the country to draw the attention of the British rulers to their problems. Indians started publishing their views and ideas in newspapers, and many organizations and associations were started by the educated people of the society.
Dad, I have heard that Mahatma Gandhi worked as an advocate in South Africa. How did he become an important figure in the freedom struggle?
Gandhi actually returned to India from South Africa in 1915. Soon after his return, Gandhiji became a leader in India's freedom struggle. He spoke out against untouchability, the caste system, and liquor consumption. He condemned British oppression and emphasized the power of non-violence, ahimsa. His method of peaceful resistance was known as Satyagraha.
What was the Rowlatt Act?
The Rowlatt Act was passed by the British government in 1919. According to this act, anyone could be arrested by the British government without a trial. Gandhiji started the Satyagraha movement against this unjust law. Gandhiji's approach showed the power of non-violence and peaceful protest. It inspired many and became a cornerstone of the Indian freedom struggle.
I can't imagine how difficult that must have been.
It was very difficult. The British rule became more exploitative over time. A tragic event took place at Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar. On 13th April 1919, the day of Baisakhi, a few thousand people assembled at Jallianwala Bagh for a peaceful public meeting. The park had only one exit. On General Dyer's orders, the policemen blocked that exit and opened fire. Thousands of people were killed and many more injured.
That's horrible. How did people react to that?
It was a turning point. People were outraged and it fueled the freedom movement even more. In 1920, the non-cooperation movement was started. This was the first big movement led by Gandhiji. The non-cooperation movement was a non-violent protest movement joined by thousands of Indians.
What did they do in the non-cooperation movement?
Students boycotted British schools and colleges. Lawyers boycotted courts, and people rejected British goods, promoting Swadeshi products instead. Elections and government functions were also boycotted. However, the movement turned violent in 1922 at Chauri Chaura, where protesters set a police station on fire. Disappointed by the violence, Gandhiji called off the movement.
That must have been so disappointing for everyone involved.
Yes, several revolutionaries, including Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Jatin Das, Surya Sen, Binoy, Badal, and Dinesh were especially disappointed. They continued to fight against the British and sacrifice their lives. And people still admire and remember them today. Rabindranath Tagore returned the title of knighthood given to him by the British in protest.
We are so proud of our freedom fighters.
Yes, Dad. What happened after this?
In 1928, the British appointed the Simon Commission to propose reforms, but it was boycotted as it had no Indian members. While protesting it, Lala Lajpat Rai was injured in a lathi charge and died soon after.
That must have made people even more determined to fight for freedom.
Absolutely. It further fueled the desire for independence and demonstrated the need for Indians to have a say in their own governance. Under the leadership of Gandhiji, the Civil Disobedience Movement started in 1930. Other notable leaders of the movement included Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Sarojini Naidu, and Jawaharlal Nehru. One of the major grievances was the British imposed tax on salt. To protest this, Gandhiji led a movement to produce salt without paying tax.
How did they protest the salt tax?
The Dandi March in March 1930 marked the start of the Civil Disobedience Movement. Gandhiji and 78 followers marched to Dandi, where he broke the salt law by picking salt, sparking widespread protests. The movement, which lasted until 1934, saw many leaders, including Gandhiji, arrested. It demonstrated the power of non-violent resistance and united Indians in the fight for independence. Later, in 1942, Gandhiji launched the Quit India movement, urging people to do or die for freedom.
Did this movement had a big impact?
Absolutely. The Quit India movement intensified the struggle for independence. Under the leadership of Gandhiji and other freedom fighters, the British were increasingly pressured. Subhash Chandra Bose, popularly known as Netaji, also played a significant role. He organized the Indian National Army, or Azad Hind Fauj, in 1942, fighting bravely against the British forces.
Subhash Chandra Bose was a great leader, right? He raised the slogans like Jai Hind and Dilli Chalo, right?
Yes, his efforts inspired many people. The Azad Hind Fauj fought courageously in northeast India and Burma. After the end of the Second World War, the British had no option but to consider leaving India. This led to the Shimla Conference in 1945, which provided provincial autonomy to India and initiated talks for transferring power.
So, when did India finally gain independence?
In 1946, the interim government was formed, making provisions for separate nations, India and Pakistan. On 15 August 1947, India became independent, and Governor General Lord Mountbatten declared India and Pakistan as two sovereign nations. After gaining independence, a new constitution was framed and launched on January 26, 1950. India became the world's largest democracy. Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the first President of India and Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister.
It's incredible how much effort and sacrifice went into achieving our freedom.
It truly is, and it's essential for us to remember and honor these sacrifices. Their efforts laid the foundation for the democratic and free nation we live in today.
Thanks for sharing all this with us, Dad. It makes me feel proud of our history and the people who fought for our freedom.
Yes, me too. It's a reminder of how important it is to stand up for what's right.
Exactly. Now, let us listen to the Prime Minister address the nation.